Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be a part 3 of my navigating social skills in 2024. So, part 3 of this, and I don't want to make it too long because I can kind of drone on about the same thing over and over again, and I think I made 2 parts in 2023. And now I'm making a 3rd part in 2024. So I've talked about this 5 times now, including this one. So it's hard to come up with different perspectives of this, but there's a certain aspect of social skills and navigating people's social abilities and conversations that I want to talk about, a certain aspect of it. And what that aspect is not being able to talk about anything. You know, there has to be such a large tension build to have someone talk about anything. You know, it has to be on the brink of World War III to get people to admit to anything, to have a conversation. And people get extremely defensive and they don't want to talk about their own faults or... You know, I was having a discussion with a good friend of mine about college, and, you know, she's in her mid-20s now, and, you know, she's going to college, and she's doing that, and she's in college for a while now, and she wants to go into, like, the medical field, and she told me that she's not worried about debt, and she's not worried about her college student loan debt or whatever it's called, and I was telling her how she needs to be worried about it, and other things about college that, you know, she just didn't want to have a conversation about it. She was extremely emotional about it. She didn't want to have a basic conversation, and it was like fucking so difficult to get her to say anything about it. And it wasn't really easy to talk about. And it just feels like people just don't know how to have a conversation anymore. You know, I've talked about this before, but people just don't have... Maybe they have social skills, but they're just so emotional. I already made an episode about this called, People Are So Emotional Nowadays, but it links into this because there has to, like I said, there has to be such a huge tension build for them to talk about anything, to admit to anything. And then, you know, I already made an episode too about gaslighting. They'll start to gaslight you and make you feel like you're the bad person for trying to have a conversation with them, trying to have a real moment with them, trying to communicate with them. And they try to turn it around on you like you're pushing them to talk about stuff, or you're manipulating them, or you're trying to like ruin their dreams or whatever. You're trying to like push your narrative onto them and make them change or whatever. And it's like, no, I just want to have a simple dialogue with you like a fucking grown adult. I just want to talk. And talking could mean that we disagree, you know? We don't always have to agree when we have a conversation. I made an episode about that too. So, you know, it's just, I just don't understand this need to be so emotional and not admit to anything and not just have clear, calm, rational dialogue, express different views, disagree if needed, and agree when needed, and just take it from there and just be a normal society of people. But, you know, trying to find that, like trying to find a fucking piece of, like, grain of salt in a fucking haystack. It's so hard to find, and it's really not credible anymore. And, you know, this used to be someone I used to talk to all the time, and it's just so hard to talk to her about anything. You know, it's always like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Like, you ruined my day. I'm not in the mood for this. Like, she won't budge. She won't talk about anything. She's so emotional. You know, like, I respect people's personal space, and, you know, I gave her, like, months and months and months to herself where we didn't talk, so space isn't the issue here. She just takes out her bad days on other people and makes it so you can't even talk to her because she had a quote-unquote bad day, you know? You know, it's really sad. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I really think that humanity is devolving badly when it comes to our social abilities, our sensibilities, social abilities. our communication skills, our emotions. I think we're really just taking steps back. But that's just one man's opinion, you know. I know that people listening to this, like you, listening to this right now, you're your own person. You have your own opinions, like I have my own opinions, and we're not always going to agree on everything. And that's the beauty of an open dialogue, you know. You should be able to disagree without causing any type of fight or argument, you know. It's a free country. It should be a free country everywhere, you know. We should be able to disagree and still have dialogue. You know, I made an episode about that, too. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Mars October Rant Series. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye.